everyone can see the screen now okay. Let me know if there's any issues with that. So yeah, I'm from Charlton Morris, and I am sort of talent acquisition and insights manager here. And then we've also, like I mentioned, got Lucy on the call, who's one of the business consultants. So yeah, if you do have any kind of questions that come to mind as we're going through, then we'd welcome them towards the end of the presentation. So sort of start by kind of telling you who we are and why we've kind of come on to talk through these details. So we are a global recruitment firm, and we screen applications, interview potential candidates, and use LinkedIn and LinkedIn Recruiter on a daily basis. So we'd kind of share some of our expertise initially to kind of help with your job application process. So we'll cover applications and CVs, interview techniques, assessment centres as well, which is another form of interview which are often used for sort of graduate and placement opportunities. LinkedIn, and then the opportunities here with us. So we'll give you a little bit more information about those and what they look like. So thinking about applications and CVs, if you've not done one before, it can feel a little bit daunting, thinking, how do I go about this? What needs to be on there? What do I need to do to make sure it stands out? So my first kind of top tip would be to really tailor your CV or application form. So make sure you've thoroughly read through the job description or the job advert for the role that you're applying to. And making sure that you've highlighted your skills and experience with that particular job in mind. So really kind of demonstrating how your skills transfer, what experience you've got, which could be applicable, to really kind of make that shine through and show the relevance of yourself. Demonstrate how you can meet the requirements. So again, thinking about, what are the specific requirements they've listed in that job description, and how can you get across on your CV or your application form that you meet all of those? Or if there's any that you feel you maybe don't directly meet, how does that transfer? How can you offer something which maybe could be kind of linked to that? Thinking about how your studies might transfer as well. So it could be that you're applying for a role that requires a degree background in a particular area, which absolutely you would then want to highlight, what you've studied, how that transfers. But if you're applying for a more general role that doesn't require a specific kind of subject expertise, there's still lots of ways to make sure that you are, sorry, I'm just going to make sure that's hidden, to make sure that you are kind of getting that across. Just bear with me for one moment. That should have gone now. And then letting your personality shine through as well. That's kind of one of the biggest tips that I would give, is really getting that across, which can be difficult on a CV, on an application form, but talking about all your hobbies, interests, any volunteering that you've done, it all helps the interviewer then to build a wider picture of you and who you are as an individual, as well as how your skills transfer into a role. So moving on to interviews, again, this can feel kind of highly daunting. So a lot to do to prepare to make sure that you are in the best position and really feel confident going into that sort of situation. So thoroughly research the company. Again, kind of really top tip. Can you talk about what they do? Can you talk confidently about, the company, what they do, the role, and how your skills kind of get across and apply to that. So making sure you understand the role, yeah, really important thing. Identifying the key skills, so prepare examples of these. So like I was talking about in your application forms, think about the key skills that require detail, what you did, what the outcome of that was, and how you kind of influenced that situation. And build natural rapport with the interviewer. So again, this is really important that the interviewer sees you as an individual, can get clear picture of you, and particularly if it's a role that does involve relationship building, interacting with customers or clients on a regular basis. They'll want to see that you're kind of able to build conversations. Questions. So again, it might seem obvious, but really prepare for that. Think about what you want to ask the interviewer. It's as much an opportunity for you to find out about the company, about the role. Is it where you want to work, as it is for the interviewer to find out about you. So yeah, don't waste that opportunity. Prepare maybe kind of 4 or 5 ahead of, because it might be that some of them are answered during the interview itself. So you at the end thinking, oh, I haven't got anything to ask, because it really does come across well if you've got lots of questions. Follow up afterwards. So this is something not many people do, but I would really recommend it, and it can make you stand out, and you know, can make all the difference. So if the interview you feel has gone well, it's a role you're really interested in, I would recommend maybe just sending a little email over to the interviewer, thanking them for their time and just reiterating your interest, maybe expressing 1 or 2 things that you learned from the interview which solidified your interest in that position. And what about assessment centres? Now again, these can feel really nerve-wracking. It's a group situation, maybe something very different to what you've done before, but equally it's a really great opportunity to stand out. So kind of make the most of that session as a chance to impress. So right from initially arriving, you can be kind of interacting with the people that are in the room already, or maybe some of the interviewers might be in there. So just treat the whole session as a chance to impress. And again, it might be that this could happen virtually this year, who knows? So again, kind of treat the whole of that as your opportunity to impress, whether it's, checking your technology before the session, making sure that your background is clear and that you feel kind of confident in the setting that you're in. Lots of things to kind of get involved, speak up, ask questions. So yeah, don't be afraid of that. Don't kind of shy away too much. It can feel very nerve-wracking. I completely appreciate that, but I think as much as you can put yourself out there to speak up, the more you'll get out of the session, and the more impact you're ultimately going to have with the interviewer. Listen to the instructions and objectives for the tasks. So assessment centres usually involve some tasks. They might be group-based, they might be individual, might be a combination of both. But really make sure that you have kind of understood what they're asking for you to do, and the objectives, so the outcomes, what are they looking for in a response, what kind of things are going to impress in this task, and feed that into how you approach it. Meet other employees from the business. So you will probably they'll probably be feeding back to the main interviewer as well. So it's again about kind of treating the whole session as the opportunity, something to better. And again, I would also recommend following up after an assessment centre too. So there can be a lot of preparation, a lot of time and planning that goes into running an assessment centre from an employer point of view. So showing the appreciation for that, again, can go a long way. So I would recommend similarly kind of following up with an email, as I mentioned previously. So LinkedIn, again, I don't know how many of you have used LinkedIn before, have kind of come across it or set up a profile just yet. But if you haven't, I really recommend it. It might feel a little bit soon, but I would say there's a way to catch up your LinkedIn profile and start building that out. Most employers and hiring managers will use it as a recruitment tool. So most kind of companies that you're applying to, individuals there will be using it, and it will be kind of part of their recruitment process. It can be used as a CV summary, so you can kind of pop all your experience on there. It's often used instead of a CV in some cases. So again, it allows an employer to get a real quick overview of you, what you've done, your experience, your skills, the same way they would maybe use a CV. Networking opportunities. So there's lots of ways that you can interact with professionals or your peers and really kind of network and use that to your advantage. And it also allows you to kind of learn about companies and career opportunities as well. So businesses will post a lot of information on there, a lot about what they're doing as a company, who they are, what kind of activity they're involved with. And they'll often post their job adverts, their growth plans, so you can really keep track of those opportunities. So they're just kind of a few, but there's lots of benefits to using LinkedIn. A few statistics that might be useful to put a few numbers in there just to really demonstrate how heavily used it is. So 660 million LinkedIn users as of November last year, so I'm sure there's even more now, spread across 200 countries, so it really is utilised across the world. Again, last year, 90 million LinkedIn users were senior level influencers and 63 million were decision-making positions. So most people that are involved in decisions in terms of hiring will be using the platform, so worth bearing in mind. 122 million users have been invited to interview through LinkedIn, with over 35 million getting a job through someone that they have been connected with. So again, just kind of shows the power of those connections and the networking that goes on. 14% of adults in the UK in the first quarter of this year said that they use LinkedIn several times a day. So not just kind of logging in every few days, but several times a day. As one of your apps, I personally check it the same that I check Instagram, Facebook. It's just kind of one of those apps that I'm really involved with and utilising daily. So if you're thinking about that from an employer perspective, again, if you're using that platform, it just makes you so much more visible and available to opportunities. Creating your profile. Now, again, if you've never used LinkedIn before, it can feel a little bit like, where do I even start with a profile? But try and think of it as another way of presenting your CV. So the kind of information you'll include, there's a little kind of about summary, which think of that as your sort of opening statement or kind of short profile paragraph that you might have on your CV. So you could give a little overview of who you are, maybe what you're studying at the moment, maybe a little bit about your experience, what you may be looking to do in the future. So nothing too lengthy, but yeah, a good overview about you. Education and qualifications, so you can pop in there your previous education to date, your current as well. So if you're still studying, you can include that and you can put in the year that you're due to finish. So again, if you're starting to apply, employers can see what stage of your study that you're at and when you'll be potentially available as a graduate, or it might be that you're applying for placement schemes. So again, it can be really clear on there. Work experience and part-time work. So it might feel like you've not got a lot to put in just yet. Or any involvement with university mentoring or ambassador schemes. And that can include, the dates that you've done the role, where you worked, what your job title was, and you can also include a bit of a summary there, so what you actually did, what your duties were, and that highlights your transferable skills. Moving on to skills, you can actually fill in your key skills, so it's probably worth thinking about maybe sort of 5 to 8 core skills that you think that you have that you could bring to an employer and list those on your profile. And interests as well. So this isn't kind of quite how you would include it on your CV, but you can start to follow companies or organisations that interest you. So it's worth bearing in mind that people can see that on your profile. So, you maybe want to demonstrate that in a professional way. If you're really interested in marketing, for example, you might want to follow some big marketing agencies and companies so that demonstrates you've clearly got that kind of interest. But yeah, I would definitely recommend adding that too. And then you can also click to show recruiters that you're open to work. So it's really applying. So if you're, starting to apply for graduate positions, whether that be now or, in a few months' time, and that allows recruiters, so people like myself that use the LinkedIn recruiter platform, to see that you want to be contacted, that you are actively looking for work. And it would then encourage me to contact you about an opportunity I might be recruiting for. So it's a really useful part of LinkedIn when you're actively applying and looking for opportunities. So I mentioned sort of the networking and finding opportunities. So one of the top things I would say is to follow company pages that you're interested in. So think about companies maybe in the area that you're looking for work, so physical, geographical location, and follow them. Think about companies within the industry sector that you're interested in. And if you're not sure, do a bit of a Google search, do a bit of a search on LinkedIn as well and see who comes up, and then follow them. There's no limit to companies that you can follow, and then any posts that they put out about recruitment or anything that they're doing internally, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to comment on, you'll be able to like, you'll be able to kind of click through to any links that they post. So it's a really useful thing to do, and then that starts building out your profile and your professional network. Search for jobs and set up alerts. So you can, like I mentioned, see companies are posting, but you can also use the search function on LinkedIn to find specific roles. So you can pop in details of location that you're searching in, you can pop in the details of job titles, and you can also set up alerts for specific companies. If there's a business you're really interested in applying to, then if you set up an alert with that company, you'll receive a notification when they post a new job advert. So you can keep up to date, and that helps you be kind of the first one to apply to any of those opportunities, and see what's going on there, see when they're growing, and that's a really useful tool to use. Connect with professionals as well. I think this is kind of the biggest part of LinkedIn. It allows you to connect with others. So you can request to connect with people that maybe are in the sector that you're interested in. You could request to connect with hiring managers, team managers, people like me as well, anyone that you kind of come across through the employer network at university. I would welcome any connections. So yeah, use it definitely. Don't be afraid of connecting with people. It's not the same as kind of Facebook where you feel like, I'm asking them to be my friend. It is a professional networking site. People want to be on there to connect, want to be on there to build out their networks with individuals that, are interested in that area. Increase your activity. So, once you're kind of using the platform, interact with things. So posts that you find interesting, by all means, like them, or there are kind of some other reactions that you can add as well. Comment on them. You can share posts as well. But just be aware that anything you like or comment on will then show up in your networks feed. So keep it professional, think, I don't want to comment on anything that would show up on a potential employer's profile that I wouldn't want them to see that I've said. So just bear that in mind, but definitely kind of make yourself active and interact with things. And the more you do that, the more visible you will be, the more you will kind of show up in your networks, sort of news feed, if you like. So to summarize those sort of tips then, prepare, research, and demonstrate that you've done so, I'd say, are the most important things when you're applying, when you're doing your CV, when you're interviewing. I'd say that's number one, to make sure you can show you have done that preparation, spent some time really researching, not just a quick 10 minutes going through the website, but, have you really gone through thoroughly? Have you seen whether that company has been involved in any news? Have they won any awards? Can you talk about what they do? So yeah, lots of thorough research, and make sure that that comes across, that you can show that to the interviewer or to the person that's reading your application. Be yourself. So this one can be tricky. I get that it's a nerve-wracking time and you might kind of feel in quite an unnatural situation, but try and be yourself and let your personality come through as much as you can, because ultimately if you do join a company and work there, you're going to be spending a a lot of time, either physically or virtually, with the company, with the team, with the employer. So, you know, it's important to kind of be yourself from the start. Use the networking opportunities available to you. So whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's attending sessions like this, get as involved as you can. It will all help you be better informed when it comes to making applications, but it also maximises potential opportunities that you might hear about, you might come across, or that people might contact you with. And highlight your transferable skills and experience. This is something that I definitely look for when I'm interviewing graduates or potential placement students, is that they can not necessarily have the experience of having done the role here before, but they can show how their skills and experience transfers and how that's set them up to potentially be successful at Charlton Morris. So I think that's something that most employers would look for. So I absolutely would encourage you to really spend some time doing that. So moving on to us. So I thought, well, we're kind of presenting, it would be good to give you a bit of an overview about Charlton Morris and the opportunities here. So we are a global recruitment firm, medical, and we specialise in recruiting senior professionals, and we have a headcount of 71 currently in our Leeds head office. We're always striving to be the best workplace for our employees, so whether that's kind of from mental well-being, physical initiatives, creating fantastic new options. You'll see some pictures of as we're going through, to continuous career development, training and opportunities for progression. We've had some pretty great accolades because of this, as you can see below. So we've been in 15th in the Great Places to Work, 21st in the Sunday Times Top 100 Companies, 8th in 75 Best Companies to Work For in Yorkshire and the Humber. So a great local employer, if I do say so myself. And the silver accreditation for investors and people. So yeah, it's kind of not just taking my word for it, but we've got some great accolades to demonstrate that we're a great company to work for. So I mentioned the office. Here's a few snaps of the surroundings. So you can see in the top right, that's part of our breakout area, kind of coffee shop.
You've frozen, Chloe.
Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back on my screen.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. So I was just kind of going. Like I said, the breakout area, the kind of reception area as you walk in, some of the office desk space, and then in the bottom left corner is a sneak sort of peek of our auditorium and presentation space, which is really great that we've got access to. That allows us to do presentation sessions, training, and lots of sort of opportunities for events in there when we're able to run physical events again one day. So what do we actually do? Which is a very good question. I know I gave you a very brief summary a second ago. But we're a team of specialist executive search consultants. So we headhunt the best senior talent within our market specialisms, so within the 3 sectors I mentioned at the beginning, on a global scale. So we work across the world. Actually, last year, 2 of our biggest regional areas for business were the US and Germany. So yeah, we really do work internationally. And we have opportunities as a business consultant, which is available for both graduates and placement students. So joining as a business consultant is fast-paced, highly rewarding. It involves business development, networking, working in a really strategic and in your market. It's a very lucrative position, lots of scope for career development, lots of scope for progression, and you'll really kind of get an insight into. Am I back?
Yeah.
I think I froze again. The joys of technology, eh? So hopefully my Wi-Fi will hold out again for the next part. But yeah, I was just mentioning to be speaking with leaders from international businesses, getting a really thorough understanding of business management processes. So it's a great kind of learning opportunity as well as career opportunity. So the rewards and benefits here, so high earning potential, incentive rewards, so there are opportunities for kind of trips away, additional bonuses, team prizes, as well as individual. Extended lunch breaks, so we have those 4 times a week. A lot of the consultants will use that for things like heading to the gym, or if you've got an appointment in town, whatever's going on. Mental well-being, so we provide access to
Should it be better if you just do voice?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to try turning my video off just to see if that helps the connection, but I'll turn it back on at the end of the presentation. So yeah, as I was saying, kind of the mental well-being, so we provide access to a mental health practitioner for all of our consultants. Physical well-being, research which provides lots of benefits, including
I've lost you again, Chloe.
right, very. Can you hear me at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with my Wi-Fi connection, so sorry for this, but we will persevere. So I was just talking about our physical wellbeing packages, which allows things like discounts on gym memberships and rewards for activity. And we're sociable, so whether you're into sports or heading for an after-work drink or playing a game of pool over lunchtime or getting involved in fundraising events for our corporate social responsibility, there's lots of things to get involved with and opportunities to socialise with colleagues. And obviously right now we're being a little bit inventive with how we do that in a more kind of virtual and distance way. But yeah, that is something that we do a lot of here. So we will be kind of sending out a bit of a kind of an update over email. So anybody that wants to be involved in that and receive some further details from us, yeah, like I say, we're putting together sort of a newsletter to go out in the next few weeks. So if you would like to send me your contact details, or I don't know if Suzanne can pass on any afterwards if you missed this right now, but yeah, please do drop me an email if you'd like to be in contact with
Lost you again, Chloe.
I think I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah, I can hear you again.
I'm so sorry about this. But that brings me nicely on to sort of the end of the presentation, an opportunity for any questions. So as I mentioned, I'll kind of stop sharing my screen now, actually, I think it would be. Right.
So if anybody's got any questions, do you want to type them into the chat bar, and I'll facilitate those if anybody's got any questions.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, as well as myself, we've got Lucy on the call, who is one of our business consultants. If you want to hear anything from her perspective, how she's found the role and got into a career here, then perfect opportunity to ask.
Okay, I've got somebody typing. Give us a second.
No problem.
Okay, so are there offices in York, or are there in other places in the country as well? I'll let you answer it. I know where you are, but I'll let you answer it.
No, that's fine. So we're based in Leeds city centre. Actually, we're just kind of a 2-minute walk from the train station. We do actually have a couple of consultants that commute in from York, so it is possible, but obviously it depends whereabouts you're located and whether that then means coming into the city to come out. So yeah, our opportunities for graduates and placements are in Leeds city centre. However, we do have, we do have an office over in New York, which we set up 2 years ago, which is very exciting. And we are starting to have kind of presence with some remote consultants in London, in Manchester, but certainly as a graduate or a placement student, it would be based in our Leeds office.
And I've actually been to their offices, and I can vouch that they are very close to the train station. Anybody else got any questions? Well, if nobody else has any questions, Chloe, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. A good presentation. I know we had a bit of problems with the Wi-Fi. And Lucy, thank you very much for coming along as well. If anybody does have any questions, please do add them now before we go. But if not, I can pick them up off the chat and forward them on to either Chloe or Lucy after the event. And we have recorded this session.